If you're wanting to take your life to the next level and succeed in this day and age, what will it take? What does that look like? Well, maybe you feel like you're not qualified to start that business. Maybe you feel like you're too old to connect to that audience. Maybe you feel like you're too young to be able to teach on that topic. Well, I believe that there's one thing holding you back from being successful. And I want to talk to you about this because I've dealt with the exact same thing for different things that I've started, different things that I wanted to do and try and extend myself into. But there was that one thing holding me back. So I want to talk to you in this episode. I want to show you how, number one, to become aware of it. Number two, how to diagnose the issue. And number three, how to overcome it so that you can be successful too. To the Skill to Scale podcast. Now, some of you guys may know us, some of you guys don't, but we are a father and son team, Antonio and Michael Baldovinos. We love all things marketing, funnels, sales, business, entrepreneurship. Obviously, we love family and faith and helping people develop their leadership skills to grow for their business, maybe for their ministry, their nonprofits, and everything in between. Of course, this affects our life. So in this episode, and what we're going to be talking about today, is we're going to talk about the number one thing that keeps people stuck, whether they're starting out in business or from leveling up. So this is what we want to talk about because this is going to be a major game changer, and it was for both of us, for sure for me, and I know that for Michael as
100%.
well. So
Yeah, 100%. I would even say uh even looking back a couple years where I was transitioning into business stuff, mindset, I was in actually one of our friends' mastermind groups, and I would say mindset was probably the biggest shift I had in my life. One of the things I would say was probably just not believing in God's abundance and having an abundance type mindset. But also just the mindset of not believing in myself to be able to do something. So I would say limiting beliefs, poverty mindset, not having abundance was probably one of the biggest shifts I had. But yeah, this is definitely one of the things that I see a lot of business owners that are wanting to get into business, a lot of people that even in life are dealing with. But yeah, you have a lot of great teaching on it in terms of limiting beliefs and all this stuff.
yeah, so why don't we tackle some of that things? When it comes to limiting belief and imposter syndrome, like some people might even be wondering, like, I've never heard that term. What is an imposter syndrome? Well, here are some symptoms, and if you relate, you can actually understand where we're coming from. Here's some symptoms that you might like. Okay, that's me, or that's me, or those guys are out to lunch. But here are some things that we found to be true when it comes to imposter syndrome or a limiting belief, and I put them together because a limiting belief is a belief in yourself that's limiting, that's capping you in some way or holding you up. And some symptoms that would be like an imposter syndrome or limiting belief would be like you're putting in a little too, you're putting the effort is a little too little. It's not much. You're just getting by. Or another one, this is a big one, and this is a game changer, and that is procrastination. So
Hmm.
you're putting things off for a later time. And so a lot of times we think, oh, I'm just a procrastinator. No, that's actually just a symptom of a root cause that you don't believe in yourself. Or if
Yeah.
if you go all in, you might fail and you don't want to fail. So you might as well just procrastinate for another time or put in too little effort. Another one is that you're slow acting. So you decided upon something, but you're not moving fast enough. Because all of us, something that happens to us, if we want something bad enough, we're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it right now. We're not going to procrastinate. We're not going to even do a little bit. We're going to go all in. Another one that I found when it comes to imposter syndrome or limiting belief, you have an opportunity in front of you. It could be a business opportunity, or it could be expanding some area of your business. And what happens is that you want your ducks in a row before you take the next step. And so the opportunity is in front of you, but you don't really take it because you want XYZ to be set up first. And that's it could be looked upon as procrastination, or it could be looked upon as imposter syndrome or a limiting belief. If I do it, it might not work. And what are other people going to think about me? So those are some ideas of a limiting belief symptoms that play in all of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you would say, what were those symptoms again, just in like quick list form? What are the things that I would be dealing with if I dealt with imposter syndrome?
I'm putting in too little effort when I already know that I'm going to do something, or I started at it, but I'm doing a
Yep.
little too much. I'm doing too little. Number two, I'm procrastinating for a later time. I'm, making excuses why it's not the best time right now. So I just procrastinate. Another one is I'm slow acting. I decided on it, but I'm slowly moving, not fast enough. And number four, I would say that you want your ducks in a row when an opportunity is in front of you. And a lot of times when that happens is you get analysis paralysis. So analysis paralysis is going to keep you stuck for sure.
And what is analysis paralysis?
Analysis paralysis is like you analyze the heck out of something, the opportunity, the business, or the group of people, and you analyze it and analyze it and analyze it. You think about it and think about it. And that's going to hurt you no matter what, because you want to do it. You have even a gut feeling to do it, but you want all your XYZ in order before you take that next step. And nothing in life, nothing. I don't care what it is, what a relationship or business or ministry, nothing is ever set up perfectly before you act. It doesn't work.
It's true.
There's an element of risk, and there's an element of trust, and there's an element of I'm just going to jump off the cliff, and I'm going to learn along the way, and that's going to help you a lot. But it's scary, and so a lot of people don't take those steps.
Yeah. So what would you say is like how, so maybe you just showed me the symptoms. How do I step out of imposter syndrome or limiting beliefs? How do I overcome that?
Well, first, I want to say a statement that is important. And if you're taking down notes, I would highly recommend it. Whatever limiting belief that you fight for, you get to keep. So I think it begins there, analyzing what's holding me up, thinking about what limiting belief am I believing that's not true, or what. So I think becoming aware of where you're at is probably one of the most important things that you can actually start with. If there's things that you want to do, like let's just pretend you're in the online space. You want to and should be creating content online, but you don't like the way you sound. You don't like yourself on video, or you want to start writing emails, but you don't. There's an element of imposter syndrome and you're not taking action. And, maybe you are dealing with another type of business, a product based or a service based, and you're not willing to knock on the door or make that phone call. And it's holding you up. So whatever those things are because again, you don't want to look at the symptom. You really want to find out why. What am I not believing? And you want to start there. So what are the statements that you're not believing? And here, if I could make some statements, because many times it's a voice inside us that's telling us of our limiting belief or our imposter syndrome. So here are some statements. So if this resonates with you, I want you to write that down. These statements are so powerful because we want to become aware of our problem. So here are some of the statements. You're a fake. You're not good enough. You're too old. You're too young. And those things play on us all the time. When you're too young, I remember when I first started in ministry, I was too young. I was 20 years old or 21 years old. And I was, setting up events and there were 40, 50-year-old pastors or business people, and they were way older than me. So I felt too young. And then when you get older, what happens is like, how do I relate to the 20-year-old? I still want to reach them. And so now you're too old. So whatever that may be, you just want to cut through the lie. You want to not believe these lies, these statements. I'm too old. I'm too young. I can't speak good enough, well enough. I'm not good in front of a camera, or I'm not great at starting a relationship out. When I come into a room, I feel insecure, or excuses that we make, like, that's just not my personality, or, I'm more of a, I'm too intimidated. There's all sorts of things that we say to ourselves. I'm not confident in that room, or
Yep.
I need to learn some more. That's a big one. I need to learn some more before I take action, or I need better equipment. All sorts of lies that we tell ourselves. These are statements that we tell ourselves that are not true, and they're holding us up. So I would say the number one thing, Michael, is that we actually find out what are the statements that are not true that we're believing to be true.
Yep. And even the statements that you just said as examples, I've 100% thought those before. Like I've thought, oh, I'm too young, or like, because I've traveled for a few mission trips across seas, and they tell you to speak in front of these huge crowds, and you're
Right.
like, well, I'm not even like a good speaker. Like I don't even feel like I'm a good speaker. Like I would say I'm more a reserved, quiet person. Like I'm more of a thinker. Like these are all thoughts that I've thought, but then you just go and do it, and then you realize, oh, it's really just a learned skill, and that was just a limiting belief holding me back in that moment. But yeah, I really like what you said as an example. What would you say? So you told us symptoms, you gave us examples of those symptoms,
Yep.
and then now what would you say is like step by step, how do I get out of imposter
How,
syndrome?
yeah. How do I overcome?
Yeah.
So how do I get out of being stuck? So I would start off with the main thing. The starting lineup would be imagination. Your imagination and what you imagine to do, create, to build, whether that's business or ministry or whatever that may look like. Your imagination. I know this may sound dumb, but it's not dumb. Okay. And what I mean by imagination is I mean your vision. Your vision gives you purpose. Your vision gives you direction. It will guide you, but also it will give you vision gives pain or discomfort purpose. So I remember the first time that I
Wait,
spoke.
say that one again. Say that one again.
So vision gives pain purpose.
Okay.
So, or discomfort. So I'm uncomfortable getting in front of a camera. Let's just say
Yeah.
that's my imposter syndrome or limiting belief. Or I don't sound good. I don't like my voice. Whatever those things are, if I have a bigger picture of something that I want to accomplish, it will give my pain or my discomfort purpose. So I'm not just going to do this thing. I'm actually building something unto my vision, unto my imagination. So I remember when I first spoke, and you can probably relate to this, Michael. I was 21 years old, and I got ready for this service. I had nice setup, nice clothes. I went, and by the time I got in the car, my armpits were soaking wet. Seeing I could, it was see through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go back inside, change my shirt. So I changed my shirt. I got ready again. I went to this church, and I drove there. I went to the bathroom because now my stomach's getting all funny, and I didn't know what was happening. But I went to the bathroom, and I noticed in the mirror that my armpits all over again are fully wet, and it looked terrible. So again, I went home. Fortunately, it was close enough, and I changed into a black shirt. So no matter what, no matter if I was sweating or not, no one could tell. And so I understand this very, very well. And I've had to, now I can recognize it. Now I see the limiting beliefs. And now I kind of do a jujitsu move on those things, like the adrenaline rushes and my palms getting sweaty, or, I feel like I can't do this thing, but I know that if I just work hard enough, if I persevere, I will come through. So really, my imagination, and if you're listening, you're going to want to imagine yourself what you want to accomplish, what you want to do, and what you want to build, because this is going to change and help you forever. Now, make sure that you write this down. Your vision, you have to write it down. Habakkuk chapter 4 says to write it down and make it plain. So you have to bring clarity to it. So it's not just a vague idea, it's actually clear, and I write it down So now I'm a little bit accountable to what I write down. So if I want to do a business, then I'm going to write that down. It
Mhm.
gives my pain or discomfort purpose.
Hmm. That's good. That's super good. And in terms of the practical, so you were saying make it plain like it says in Habakkuk. So what do you mean by make it plain? So,
Yeah, so I mean make it really simple.
okay.
So I'm not making it complicated. So if I want to build a business, if I want to build online coaching business, for example, then
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write down who I'm serving. I'm going to write down why I'm doing this. The why is going to be critical for me because I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my children. So whatever those things are for me, whatever discomfort or bumps I go through, it's going to give that purpose for me. So
Hmm.
I have to first imagine it though, and I have to write it down and I'll make it clear and really simple. So that's what I
Hmm.
mean by make it plain and make it simple.
Okay. That makes sense. Because I even remember when I started doing TikTok stuff like 2 years ago, I had some limiting beliefs being like, oh, like I'm not that good on camera. Like I don't have much for people to listen to. I'm still young. But then I just said, instead of being like, oh, my goal is to hit 50,000 followers, my goal was I'm just going to post 3 times a day and see what happens. I'll do that for 1 year and see what happens. And instead of making like a lofty goal of like a result, I just made a habit goal. So I feel like that also applies to what you're saying in terms of making it plain. Because sometimes we set these goals, like, for example, losing weight. We'll be like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. But what is the habit you need to do every single day that gets you to that 20 pounds? That should be what you're writing down.
100%. I think if we have the lofty ideas or lofty plans, I think they're gonna be there. It's gonna hurt us because that's why a lot of New Year's resolutions they don't work because
Yeah.
people are not putting their habits around those ideas. And so I want to make sure, and we can hit that later on. But I do put together the imagination, my vision, but I also want to put the habits around that so that it's not just a pipe dream. I don't want a pipe dream. I want some reality in my life. And
Yeah.
so I put those two things together, just like you did. What can I do today, and what can I do consistently every single day for the next year? Man, if you do that, it's a game changer. It's for sure going to be a game changer.
Yeah. 100%. And just because I made that habit of doing 3 videos a day, uh, I grew my account to like 53,000 followers or something. And then our team that was, uh, we were sharing the Bible, praying for people, all that kind of stuff on TikTok. We had almost 1 million followers, and our team, we had about 5 to 10 people doing that. And that was huge. And we just made a decision. We're all going to post at least once a day on that team. And it was just like you were saying, it was a habit based goal instead of like a pipe dream.
Right. Yeah, I would say another one, and we kind of mentioned this already, but the next key, so one is imagination, the next key is evaluation.
Okay.
And evaluation has to do with evaluating your self talk. Uh, the greatest opinion that we have is our own opinion. And we're always talking to ourselves. We're talking to ourselves about ourselves. And this is going to hurt you or help you. And so I want to evaluate my self talk. I want to know what are the whispers that are in my life.
Hmm.
What's keeping me from creating content online? Is it what other people are going to be saying? And you might be saying, well, they might not like it, or they might make fun of me. And many times we're really hard on ourselves. So we really want to evaluate our self talk. So number one is our imagination. And number two is evaluating and challenging your self talk.
Hmm.
So they either going to help us, those lies are going to hurt us, or the words that you're saying to yourself are going to help you. So those two are critical.
Okay. So what would you say? Because you're saying self talk, like just like my thought life.
Yeah. Yeah. My thought life. So we're telling ourselves, like, I'm not going to do that thing that I know I want to do, should do, I even imagine to do. But, I'm thinking about what other people are thinking. I'm thinking about my inadequacies. I'm thinking about, but they're words that are being whispered to us about ourselves nonstop. So it's playing on. These things are playing on in our lives. And it could be from school, or someone hurt you, or someone offended you, or someone made fun of you. Sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words may never hurt me, are a lie. That's not true. Those words matter. And a lot of times we believe them. And those words from our parents or coaches or teachers or friends, we believe them. And now they become a limiting belief in our mindset. And those phrases and those statements become self-talk. And we're either going to be hurt by them, or we're going to be propelled by them. So I want to change my words. Not only do I want to be aware of them, I want to change them. Here's a really simple one that we can all do. If there's something that I want to buy or do, I'm not going to say I can't afford it. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, so that's a disempowering statement. It's not going to empower my life. It's a dead end. It's a roadblock. So I would rather say, how can I afford it? Those are empowering questions. So I'm not going to say I can't do that thing. I'm going to say, how can I do that thing? How can I buy it? How can I get into that? How can I get into that coaching program? How can I get into that business? What are the steps to take in order to be in that business? So the point is, find out your self-talk and find how you can ask yourself empowering questions, and start asking yourself those questions rather than roadblock statements.
That's good. That's super good. And you've actually said this one a lot, but it's a phrase that I've written down. And whenever I'm thinking about doing something, I always think back to this phrase of imperfect action is perfect action. And so just explain that one for me and how it goes into your next point.
Yeah. So the next point would be determination. So I have to determine to do a thing. Yep. So if you're meant to be posting on social media, you're not going to procrastinate anymore. You're going to do it right now. And imperfect action is perfect action. That means that I'm going to do it imperfectly. So I'm going to determine to do a thing rather than, all the things that keep you from doing them. So imposter syndrome, limiting belief, statements, or I don't have the best equipment, or I'm not good in camera, or, I can't build that business, or I can't talk to that business owner or that prospect. All those things will keep you, and you're never going to add up. So I take imperfect action right now, today. So whatever phone call I have to do, whatever door I have to knock, whatever video I have to make, whatever social media content I have to create, I'm going to take that imperfect action today, right now. So determination. So the first one is imagination. The second one is evaluation. And the third one is determination.
So with determination, because this is something I've seen you do a lot in your life. Like I actually remember when you first started online business, I remember watching you, you filmed all your courses. You filmed like 7 courses with your phone. You were editing it on a computer that had a cracked screen.
Yep.
Like literally half the screen. You couldn't see half the screen. You like memorized all these shortcut buttons. And I was like, oh my gosh, just get a new computer. This is terrible. But then a lot of people make the excuse like, oh, I don't have a camera. I don't have all this gear. And you literally just went and bought like $50 light set, used your phone, bought a $20 tripod, bought a mic for it was like $100 or something. In under $200, you filmed a bunch of courses and you were editing them with a cracked screen.
I didn't have the funds to buy the equipment. Now, would I prefer to have all the nice equipment and all that stuff? Absolutely, but I didn't have it. So I took massive action to the best of my ability. And so we're always going to have things that, oh man, I wish I could have had that, or I wish I would be more skilled in that area. But I did it from a phone. I recorded courses, and I'm not an editor. You're an editor. So I always find people or resources. So here's the thing. Here's the statement that always helps me. When I lack resources, that's when I become resourceful. And so resources are not necessarily just money or equipment. It could even be my lack of skill. Yeah. So if I lack a skill, or if I lack something, that's when I become resourceful. So a lack of resources does not stop me. Nothing can stop you. The only person stopping you is you. So if I know that to be true, and I know in my own life, because I started many different things in my life, it's easy to make excuses. I don't
Yep.
have this, or I don't have that, or time, or skills. And so you need to take your excuses and make them your purpose.
Yeah.
Flip them upside down. Take those excuses and make them your purpose. So if you lack on equipment or you lack on money, well, then I want to grow wealth so I don't have to have that lack anymore. Or if I don't have a skill, then I'm going to take this imperfect action and I'm going to become better. I'm going to grow in this skill. And the more reps I take, the better I'm going to become. So it's either going to work on you or your business is going to work for you. And it's okay if this business is going to work on you first. It's okay. And I'm okay with that. So I'm okay. And I understand that reps are going to actually pay dividends long term. So that's kind of the imperfect action that I've taken that you've seen me take many times in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super good. And I think because I tend to be more of like a cautious by nature guy. Like even when we come up with new ideas, I'm always a little more cautious to start. But if you just start with imperfect action, you'll figure it out along the way. Like even when we're helping people with their social media content, we'll be like, people usually are like, oh, let me think about my audience, my niche, my target audience. What am I going to talk about? Da da da. And then they already wasted 2 weeks thinking about what they're going to do. When what we tell every single person when they're starting online, go post for 30 days straight every single day. You're going to be terrible at the beginning, but as you keep going, you're going to figure out what is actually working, what people care about watching, what the market cares about listening to. And that's what you want to do with pretty much everything. Like if you're thinking about doing it, just start yesterday, like just go. So with that point, bring us to your next point on how we can overcome
Yeah,
limiting
another
beliefs.
one. Okay, so we got imagination, we got evaluation, we got determination. The next one I think is going to be really important. It's going to keep you accountable. It's called explanation.
Okay.
So explanation is all about sharing your plans, your
Okay.
purposes, your goals with other people. Now, if you got to make sure that you're telling the right people, kind of
Yeah.
like in the Bible where Joseph shared his dream with his brothers, probably not a good idea
Yeah.
because jealousy grew. So you want to make sure that you're telling people that actually believe in you or that
Yeah.
hope the best for you or that can even, poke. It's okay if they poke some holes in your ideas. It's going to make you better. So
Yep.
I like telling people my ideas. Obviously, I tell my wife or, I'll talk to you, Michael, or I talk to friends and I'll tell them about my plans to keep me accountable. So if I tell you I'm going to lose 10 pounds this next month, well, that's going to keep me accountable when I go and want to eat that burger and fries. It's not like, wait, I thought you said you were going to do XYZ.
Yeah.
So, telling people about it is going to actually help me be accountable. Also, when it comes to telling people, you also want to make sure that your goal has a date.
Yeah.
So I'm not just going to say, hey, I'm going to build a business in the next 5-10 years. That's just hogwash. So I want to make a plan and I want to tell people about it in the next 3 to 6 months. By the end of the year, I'm going to do XYZ. So it has a timeline.
Yeah.
Accountability with the timeline is so critical to actually propel us into action. Otherwise, we won't do the thing.
Yeah.
So I think explanation is so powerful.
Yeah, and a big thing that you said from that by telling the right people, because I even remember when because I'm still with missions organization YWAM, but before I was full time in it for like 5 years, and I remember telling some people like, "Oh, I'm doing this online business stuff," and some people were like, "Oh, that's cool, da da da, hope it goes well." Some people were like a little like down on it, like they were like, "Oh, you do realize that person is successful because they already have this audience," or like da da da. But then I realized, oh, I can only tell the people that are actually going to believe in me, because if I can believe in myself, then I'm actually going to do it. So you got to be wary of who you tell, because most people are dealing with their own limiting beliefs, so they're not going to believe in you. So you got to pick the right people around you that are going to propel you to do the thing that you want to actually believe in doing.
100%. I don't put your treasures in, in the wrong places. And your dreams and your plans are your treasures. And so I want to make sure that I am surrounded and telling the right people. So proximity is so powerful when it comes to that. So you're 100% right, Michael. Telling the right people is either going to hurt you or help you. And there's going to be naysayers with everything. You're
Everything.
getting into the business too late or too early, or, the market is saturated with that business. Oh, come on. Come on. You know, I'm already I've already overcome so many of those naysayers ideas that I squash them even in my presentation or when I'm sharing my idea. Yeah, there could be oversaturated market, or there could be, people got into it too early, or, way earlier than you, and they're successful and they got, XYZ and you don't. And, limiting beliefs can play a part of that. So I want to be very cautious of who I'm telling. So you want to be very cautious in who you're telling.
Yeah, that's good. So what would you say is the next thing to overcome?
Revelation. So
Okay.
revelation is going to help you a lot. And this is all about learning your craft. So it's not good enough to just share it with your imagination or share it with other people, or evaluate your self-talk. You also want to be a learner,
Yeah.
nonstop learner. So I make it and you and I are both in this boat where we're both the same. We actually have Enneagram fives, both in us, which is all about researching. So we're both always growing in our craft. Fortunately for me, I'm so glad, Michael, that you're actually a learner, because you actually propel me. I'm like, oh, I should also learn about that, what Michael just said. And so it's probably 3 or 4 times a week we're talking about something that we've learned. So I learned a thing or you learned a thing, and we're leaning on each other about learning. So I would say the revelation of growing and learning a thing is so powerful. We want to do a thing. Well, if you want to do a thing, you have to become a thing.
Yeah.
So in order for you to grow, that's why the mindset is so powerful and belief is so powerful, because to the level that you grow in your mindset and to the level that you grow in knowledge and skill is to the level that you're going to be able to do a thing,
Yeah.
whatever that thing is. So if I want to be a better communicator, well, then I have to learn how to communicate, and then I have to do the communication. And
Mhm.
many times we're going to learn by doing, but also you want to review how you did by what you learned. So
Mhm.
those two things go hand in hand. That's why the Bible says, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. But it doesn't mean that you don't hear. You want to make sure that you always are growing. And so always have revelation knowledge growing in you, in your mindset, and in your belief.
Yeah. I would say learning is probably one of the biggest things that has changed my life. Like I can even think back to when I was 16. I got a GoPro for Christmas, and I started like shooting videos, doing fun stuff with the GoPro. And then I was like, huh, this is kind of fun. And so then I found interest in it. So I saved up for my first camera. It was like 500 bucks. Got that first camera. I started taking pictures of mountains and all this stuff. And then people started asking me to do wedding videos and photo shoots and all this stuff. And then I'm like, well, I got to learn quick how to do this stuff. So I just start researching videos. I start watching. I was watching stuff like 2, 3 hours a night, every single night for like a year or two. And then I grew really quick in like media and videography and photography. But whatever thing I'm trying to learn, I apply that same level of like intensity in terms of learning, because you will grow so much faster. Because, like, for example, there's so many people that I've talked to. They're like, oh, I want to learn this, or I want to do this, or I want to get out of my 9 to 5 job. And then so I'm like, okay, well, go learn this, go learn this, and go learn this. And then I'll talk to them in maybe a month or two, and they haven't even like watched a video. And it's like, bro, you're not going to do anything. Like, it's literally like you have to like be intense with the learning. Like, for example, me, every time I drive, I either have worship music or a course or like something I'm learning, like an audiobook. Anytime I'm doing laundry or vacuuming the house or working out, when I'm warming up, I have an audiobook going, or I'm showering, I have a podcast going, or I'm listening to a course. Like, you need to apply it practically and quickly. Like I have kids, like I have as many excuses in the world as anybody of time, but I take all those little 10, 15-minute sections in the day that I can learn and I fill those with learning. So that's how you guys can practically learn now and do it quickly and not make excuses of you don't have the time to learn
Yeah,
something.
I even heard this from someone that you and I both are always getting mentorship by. And he said, if you're making less than $20,000 a month, now we're talking the
Yeah.
business sphere, but
Yeah.
if you're making less than $20,000 a month, you have no business watching Netflix. You have no business watching other people succeed in life.
Yeah.
And you're just watching someone else play the game of life, make a lot of money, create content, and you're sitting on the sidelines watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even about a moral issue. It's all about an issue of where you're putting your energy and your time. Oh, I just want to veg out. I just want to relax. I'm sorry, but I want to reward myself for relaxing after I grew and after I expanded my knowledge and I even grab, my aim is always to grab one or two little things in a conference, in a book, or in videos. I watch YouTube trainings every single day. Every single day, I'm grabbing a book. Every single day, I'm sitting in a line. If I'm waiting for a doctor's office, if I'm waiting for my wife in the car, whatever, I have my Kindle book. And Michael, you know it because we share my Kindle account. There's literally thousands of books there. There is no reason why you can't just spend 10 minutes reading a book when you're sitting there waiting in line.
Yeah.
So we're both in the same track on that one. So the first one would be imagination, then evaluation, then determination, and then explanation. You're sharing it with other people, and then revelation. This has to be a growth plan in your life. The next one I would say would be implementation. And you're very good at this one. In fact, you're faster than me on many things like this one. So implementation is that you're taking action now. Now, I kind of mentioned that you determined it. So determine and making a decision is really critical. And so even when I think about determination or when I decide, I'm deciding that there's no plan B. I'm deciding that I'm going all in. But implementation is where I'm putting it in my schedule that I'm going to create content on these days at this time period, or I'm going to create my courses here, or I'm going to build my website for my roofing business now. And I put it in my schedule. I'm going to put in my schedule the things that I have to do, must do. Otherwise, it's just a pipe dream.
Yep.
So the schedule is where the rubber meets the road. So I don't want to just talk about it. I don't want to just dream about it. I want to do it. And
Yeah.
you want to take that action and implement it today.
Yeah. And a practical thing that you guys can take from this in terms of implementation, something that I actually just started doing maybe a month or two ago, is splitting my day into like zones. So, for example, I literally schedule every part of my day, whatever activity I'm doing. In terms of the weekdays, weekend, I'm a little more flexible. But for example, I usually wake up 6:30 to 7 every day with the kids. And that's my like hangout time with the kids. So I schedule 6:30 to 8 is hanging out with my kids. And then 8 to 9 is breakfast and getting ready, right? And then 9 to 11ish is, I call it like my green zone work. So that's when my brain is like the freshest, can take on the biggest tasks. So that's when the hardest part of my day, like in terms of tasks, I put it in that green zone. So for example, that's right now. We were filming a podcast. And then I obviously do lunch. And then afternoon, it's like your yellow zone. Like I'm not fully fresh, but I can do tasks. So that's where I'll like, we have like clients who hire us to build funnels. That's where I'll put together their funnel. I'll put together automations. It's not like crazy creative juices flowing. It's just doing the task and building it out. And then pretty much after like 3 or 4, I'm pretty much tapped out. That's when I'll go work out. That's when I'll hang out with my kids, hang out with my family, have dinner. But if you can apply something practical like that, like putting it in your daily schedule, then you're not going to have an excuse to miss out on implementation.
100%. And the next one, Michael, would be culmination. And we kind of are talking about it right now, which is, it really speaks about prioritizing all of it. So I'm prioritizing in my schedule, which we're talking about So implementation is making, make sure that I'm doing it right now. And a lot of people, when it comes to the implementation side of things, um, they're really thinking their content. For example, if I'm telling you, you got to build your social media platform. Well, what happens is we think that our content is going to be like the next movie instead of it's just a short. It's a 60-second short,
Yeah.
or our business is, we're thinking it's such a big deal that we don't take that imperfect action. We think that social media posts is a Super Bowl ad, or we think that our roofing business is really a we're building the Eiffel Tower. It's not these, or our MLM business, whatever product we're selling is this big Amazon platform we're creating. But we're thinking it's so big that we don't take imperfect action. So implementation is about prioritizing doing those things. Culmination is about making sure that we schedule it and put it in our schedule. So I would highly recommend, just like what Michael did with the zones, that you're putting your schedule in order. So when are you lifting weights? When are you working out? When are you eating? When are you sleeping? And then when are you do that thing? When are you going to read books? When are you going to watch a course? When are you going to do X, Y, Z? So you want to make sure that it's scheduled and it's not just vague. The successful people schedule their life around their priority. Unsuccessful people have no priority. They're not putting their schedule, and all they're doing is this: whatever will be, will be. However the wind flows, however the inspiration takes place, that won't work. You want to keep yourself accountable by prioritizing in your schedule.
Yeah, that's super good. Do you have any more points on
I
overcoming
do. The
words?
last one would be consideration.
Okay.
So consideration would be your words. Consider your words. So we talked about the imagination, evaluation, determination, explanation, the revelation of growing and implementing things, and then culmination of your priority and your schedule. The last thing would be consider your words, the things that you say around your business, the things you say around your prospects and your clients. You want to make sure that you're speaking life to them. Proverbs 27 speaks that life and death are in the power of the tongue, and we're going to eat the fruit of those words. So they're going to hinder us or they're going to help us. They're going to strengthen us or they're going to stop us. So you want to make sure that you're speaking life to everything around you. In fact, I am more serious about the words around my business than any other time. I want to be cautious even around negativity. If news can really be so negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I'm doing a very little updates on news, because it will affect my words. It will affect my thinking. It will affect either abundance or scarcity thinking. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that my words that are coming out of my mouth, which are the overflow of my heart, are speaking life into everything around me. So those would be my 8 things to help you overcome being stuck with limiting belief or imposter syndrome.
That's super good. Those are super helpful. Um, I think that's pretty much it today for the episode. But if you guys, we actually just came out with a new product. If you guys are trying to grow in your social media, trying to get clients from your organic social media, we actually just came out with a new product called the Organic Client Attraction System. So right now it's $7. You can check it in the description of this video, but we're not keeping it at that price. We're only keeping it at that price for a certain amount of days, and then we're going to raise the price because it's actually a ton of value. We teach you everything from how to make a post, what to post, how to find your niche. We even have bonuses in there like how to sell, how to do email marketing, like all that kind of stuff is in
Building
that
your
organic
brand,
line.
building your
Yeah,
brand
building your
online.
brand.
Yeah.
There's so much value in that course. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's $7 right now. Go check the link in the description for the Organic Client Attraction System. But yeah, hope this limiting beliefs episode blessed you guys, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you guys. Take care.